Hi, everyone. George Christie here with Wine Industry Network. Welcome to another episode in the Win Educational Webinar Series. Today's webinar is titled Smoke Taint, a complex event. Sadly, something that we're having to deal with on a much more regular basis. So this presentation, I think you're going to find very interesting. It's sponsored by Della Toffola, and today's presenter is Lorenzo Forbice. Lorenzo is the Innovation Project Manager for the Della Toffola Group. Before we begin, just as a reminder, if you've watched our webinars in the past, we always pre-record these. We do that for quality purposes, but we also do that because we want to have as much engagement as possible. So Lorenzo is going to be watching this broadcast just like you are. He's in the chat room taking questions as they come in. So you don't need to wait till the end of the presentation to ask your questions. Go ahead and type them in and Lorenzo will pick them off as they're submitted. All right, I think that about covers it. I want to thank Della Toffola again for their support and for their sponsorship. I want to thank everyone in the audience for joining us today. And I want to welcome Lorenzo to the virtual stage. Lorenzo, take it away.
Hi, George. Thank you. And good morning. First of all, I want to thank you for joining us today. And thank you, George and the Wine Industry Network for hosting this webinar today. And a special thanks goes to all the fire departments that fight to protect us and our families from wildfires. These are my contacts, informations. They will be shown again at the end of the webinar. Today, we will talk briefly about the propagation of the smoke taint itself and about the chemistry behind it. Finally, we will talk about the solution, the treatment of smoke tainted wine, and how to ameliorate their sensory profile. My goal is to support you, making your job easier. So there will be an offer on this purpose for you at the end of the webinar. So stay with us and get it. Okay, let's start. Have you recognized this landscape? That's you, your vineyard. California, every year, about 8,000 wildfires occurred. The average of lasting of these wildfires is 37 days, and 30 minutes of exposure to smoke could be enough to contaminate your grapes. It is a complicated event, a complex event, because it's unpredictable, because the numbers are impressive. So it's really hard to fight and control the wildfires. And as we said, few minutes of exposure of your grapes are done. I would say there are four main points to consider about smoke taint and winemaking. Prevention, that is effective more or less like praying and crossing fingers. Analysis, winemaking, and treatment, and that's why we're here today with you. One of the possible actions is prevention. There are products that create a protective film on the fruit. This should prevent the contamination of your grapes. However, these treatments are not yet approved for use on vineyard, so be careful. You should spray the vineyards at the very first sign of wildfire in your area, and the treatment must be repeated every 5-6 days. Another treatment is to wash the grapes with sodium bicarbonate. This could reduce the quantity of smoke compounds attached to the surface of the berries. But you won't be able, however, to eliminate what already penetrated the skin. How can I understand if my grapes are contaminated? Well, analysis of your juice could determine if it is tainted or not. We will see more in detail the chemical of it behind. The main markers and phenols composition can make your decision easier on whether to use one or the other wine-making choices you have in your hands. Smoke from wood fires contain small volatile phenols such as guaiacol, 4-methyl guaiacol, serindol, and or and P form of creosote that contribute to the characteristic burnt odor, the ashtray, the medicinal. Guaiacol, M-creosol, and 4-methyl guaiacol are considered the primary chemicals associated with smoke taint. That's why the US wine industry has accepted them, and the quantification of them, especially guaiacol and 4-methyl guaiacol, as indicators. Relations between the two. Well, the phenols enter the grapes through the skins rather than through the leaves. Even when the level of indicators was low and the grape juice didn't show a specific acid note, the corresponding wines exhibited smoke taint. So there's no an actual relation and direct relation between the two. This suggests the existence of a negative wine regulator. This system is processing the volatile phenols and masking their unpleasant smoky aroma. Studies demonstrated that the plant bounds the smoky compounds to grape sugars. That's why they become hidden. The volatile phenols lose their volatile properties in this manner, becoming odorless and hidden within the juice. This mechanism is possible because enzymes needed to the wine's convey the binding of grape sugars to the smoky volatile. These enzymes called glycosyltransferases, or GTS for more easier pronunciation, transfer sugar molecules. Under normal circumstances, the enzymes is binding the glucose moieties to trans-resveratrol, a naturally occurring metabolite in vines. It has been detected in single and in sugar-bound form, in whole berries and in resulting vines, and it's usually released by the plant upon pathogen infection or injury to counteract bacteria or fungi. The chemical structure of the trans-resveratrol shows similarities with the smoky volatiles. That's why it's important. It's similar to guaiacol, similar to syringol, and to O-creosol. Trans-resveratrol possesses a basic phenolic structure and a functional hydroxylic group that enable the linkage of sugar moieties. What is the possible conclusion? Is that the vine cannot distinguish between its natural substrate and trans-resveratrol and the foreign smoky molecules. So they bound both. During the winemaking, the bound smoke compounds are cleaved, hydrolyzed from sugar molecules, allowing the smoky volatiles, phenol aromas, and flavors to be released into the wine again. So they will become perceptible again. And there can be a progressive dramatic release of the smoky compounds. That's why you don't have to think only about your juice status. We have this data because there's a lot of studies about smoke taint. It's not just a California issue. More than 200 studies in the past 5 years were conducted on smoke taint. The one you are seeing now is, for example, a PCA analysis from one of these studies. This slide shows the descriptor distribution on analyzed samples, and it was taken from a 2017 research at the Australian Wine Research Institute. There are winemaking actions that can be performed to mitigate the effect of smoke taint. We can use the flavor-enhancing yeasts and or tannins. We can use barrel aging. The peculiar sensory profile of the cultivar is anyway a little weak. The nose and the retronasal are decent, but the palate tend to remain astringent, not rounded, and smoky. Another point is that we can use the flash to tank technology. We had results in sensibly reducing the smoke taint with this equipment that we produce. The limit of this application is footprint and the costs. That's why we also developed a reverse osmosis membrane that is loose enough to permeate the smoke taint phenols and tight enough to reject the good components we do not want to strip from our wines. The spiral wound membrane is food grade. It is heat sanitizable up to 175 F. The membrane gave us the permeate we want, but this permeate must be treated. We need it to remove the phenols that are responsible for the smoke taint. We researched saw the perfect adsorbent to be paired with the membrane, and we found it. It's efficient and easy to use. It's food grade. The membrane and adsorbent are also produced in the USA, so they are easy to get. We treat the wine with the system recirculating the wine itself in the same tank. The footprint of the whole system is contained. That's allowed us to move the equipment from one winery to another, to run trials, to provide mobile services. It's easy to move. We have treated many wines, and the data shows us that we just need to treat a volume of permeate correspondent of just the 10% of the volume of wine we need to recover. And about that, samples of treated and controlled wine are available for tasting. Why our system is so different? Well, the quality of the result is excellent. The accuracy of the result is excellent. All treated wines responded perfectly at 100%. We can treat volumes starting from 180 to 100 gallons. We are not worried about the volumes. We can treat small batches as huge batches. Another strength point of our system is the lasting of the results. As we said, with hydrolysis, with the malolactic fermentation, these bond compounds will be released. So you will have the problem coming back. Well, so far, the wine treated a year, 13 months ago, they still are at their best. They don't show any coming back of the smoke taint. And something that at Della Toffola, we care a lot. We are doing a lot of researches on this direction, that is sustainability. This is because the efficiency of this equipment allowed us to have a lot less need of washing procedures, saving water, saving power, saving chemicals, not only manpower. That is another good thing to be pointing on. So Della Toffola produces about this system, different sizes of equipment. And so also the price is affordable. These are some numbers regarding the group, just to let you understand what we're talking about. Della Toffola Group is working for you since 1956. We have more than 500,000 customers. Della Toffola USA is present since 2009, based in California, following all the 50 states with more than 25,000 customers. And this is a case study. This is the example of the last treatment we've done in California, because we wanted to show you something. And the number that you can look at are pretty much impressive. These are all the batches we've treated in one winery. This is only one customer, saving all these wines and needed to treat just 10% of permeate, allow this customer to save and recover the wines, bottle them, sold them, and get a revenue from these wines. With this revenue, the customer have already paid off the machine that they purchased. And on top of it, they gain money. So it's a great system. And here we come. We have a great offer for you today, because to thank you for participating in this webinar, you can have the chance to contact us and contact me, and you will have a free consultation on your wines, on the status of your wines. Plus, after the consultation, you will have 20% off on your first service, and it's unended. The end is that you have the chance here to click to get us your information and to get your PDF Smoke Taint wine to be downloaded. It will be a nice pamphlet to have. Here you have my contact again, so you can call or write me to claim your free consultation, and please do that. Thank you for participating. It was a pleasure to me to talk with you and to share with you our experience. I hope you won't have smoke issues in the future, but at least now you know who to call. So keep calm and Della Toffola.
Lorenzo, that was great, really informative. And once again, just to remind everyone in the audience, if you have questions, go ahead and type those into the chat feature. Lorenzo, you obviously have a lot of experience in this. What is it that makes smoke taint such a complex problem?
As we said, George, it's complex because it cannot be controlled. Wildfires are so spontaneous and so fast in propagating that it's really a tough job for the firemen and fire departments to try to control them. That's why they last 37 days as an average. And what is impressive is that we don't even need to be close to the wildfire itself with our vineyard. As from the picture, the smoke is propagating all over the country. So you just need to have the smoke close to your vine. And that's why it's so complex. It will come. It doesn't have a prior notice to us.
Right.
And we're done.
Well, so for someone who's uncertain whether they actually have had a smoke impact on their fruit, what and their wine, what should they do? They're not sure.
Well, the suggestion is to run the analysis. There's specialized labs to run them. And as we highlighted, there are some markers that you can trace. However, what I was trying to make clear is the markers you will find or you can find on the juice are not certain indicators of the smoke tainted wine. Because, for example, Syrah has the same markers, even if it's not tainted, and it shows 7 to 16 times more than other cultivars, those markers. So you can analyze them and try to understand if you have to worry or not. But then the wine is the only sure indicator if you have a problem or not.
Got it. You had a slide where there was you were showing a lot of information, a lot of research. Where do you gather all of your data?
Well, I've been studying the problem with other colleagues for years, and I'm not new in studying that. That's why I get such an amount of data. As I said, just in the past 5 years, more than 200 studies at universities, so academic studies, have been run. It's pretty easy to find studies just Googling around, because they are such an impressive number that it's unfortunately is easy to find because it's a big issue.
So there's a lot of information sharing that's going on with researchers out there, is what I'm hearing.
Yes. There's a lot of researches, and for example, one of the last research that started in the past 3 years is to try to understand whether the different fuel causing the smoke can be impacted differently, the smoke taint in the wines, because if you have ashtray, medicinal, burn odor, it's unsustainable. You cannot drink that wine.
Right.
But however, sometimes there are some cultivars that shows just, let's define it, just a little barbecue flavor. That maybe can be easier to present to the customer as a peculiarity of the vintage.
Right.
It's not unpleasant. It's like red in Burgundy. They want Brettanomyces, a little bit of it, because right now has become their peculiarity. So they need it.
That's really interesting. We talked about with the processing of how can winemakers remove as many compounds as possible? Talk me through the process, quickly, if you could.
Yeah, our process is, as I said, is based on reverse osmosis and an adsorbent. What is great in our system is that we can extract from the wine through the permeate an incredible amount of smoky compounds. And then we can clean the permeate with our adsorbent. The choice of the membrane and the adsorbent to be paired has been determined because, as we said, we want to remove the smoke taint. We don't want to remove any other compounds because we need them. They are the base of our winemaking. That's why I'm so happy about the system with Della we developed. We can do that. We can extract everything we want. And if the wine is particularly impacted, we just need to run a little bit longer. So it's not an issue.
And is there an impact on mouthfeel, as you as you're stripping some of these compounds out, or tell me?
No, on the opposite. On the opposite. This is a good point because the treated wine not only shows to be clean from the smoky part, but the palate in particular is much more rounded, much more smooth, velvety. So it's great. Every winemaker that have tasted the samples have highlighted specifically that the nose is great, the flavor, the floral notes are coming back, the retronasal are clean, but the mouth, the palate is wonderful.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I would have thought it would be the other way around, but it's the opposite of what I had in mind.
Yeah,
that's funny.
The last tasting I ran, the winemaker made me taste his wine, smoke tainted. At a certain point, tasting the result of the system, said, well, maybe I can purchase the machine and treat my wines anyways, because it's so rounded that I can treat it even they are not smoke tainted. And this is the best compliment we can receive.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Lorenzo, is there anything else that you want to share that with the audience that with regard to what makes your system so different, so unique?
Well, yes. As we have pointed out, our system is unique, first of all, because of the great results. As we just said, the result in the tasting on the sensory profile is great. It's pretty fast because we just need to treat. Actually, the case study that we showed, we treated, in that case, we treated 7% of permeate. So it's really a small impact. And this allows us to be fast, not to have to waste water for the washing procedure. The footprint is small. The CO2 print is small because of all this reason. We do not use a lot of chemicals because we don't need to wash the machine. That's all the parts. So sustainability, accuracy, result, economics. I mean, it's a great plant.
That's great. Well, Lorenzo, thank you so much for your time. We want to thank Della for their sponsorship and their support. And of course, I want to thank everyone in the audience for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the presentation and encourage you to reach out to Lorenzo if you have any more questions. Probably take a closer look at the machine and see what you think.
Thanks a lot again. And have a good one, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.